Hi there, Dr. Keith, Digital Accessibility Subject Matter Expert. I provide accessibility solutions to software as a service companies. So today I'm working with a client and the client asked me a question. What do I need to put on my accessibility roadmap? Meaning, what do I need to do to move from where I am with accessibility today to move forward into a more mature program? Now, generally, this will be different for each and every company because each company is different. However, there are 5 things that every company needs in order to mature an accessibility program or to go from where you are now, whether you are completely non-compliant to compliance or whether you have some compliance and you're becoming more compliant and you're expanding your program. There are only 5 things. Works like this. You need a business case. You need an executive sponsor. You need a policy, you need some kind of governance, and then some accessibility policies. So let's break this down. First thing, the business case for accessibility. What does that mean for your company? The question that you're asking yourself is, why do I care about accessibility? Why is it important? Well, your company could have been sued for accessibility. And in that case, you're trying to avoid some kind of legal jeopardy and all of the things that come along with it, high fines, fees, bad press, and the like. Or let's say that you're a company that is saying, hey, you know what, if I add accessibility to my product, I'm going to be able to reach a larger group of users. Say the group of users who spend 500 billion with a B in the United States every single year, and I can put more money in my pocket. Whatever your situation may be, whether it's just because of money, or you want to make the world a better place, or you're scared of legal risk, that business case is going to be crucial determining where you go with accessibility from that point. So now we've got our business case. The next thing you need after you've justified that business case is you need some kind of executive sponsor. Now, whether you're a large company or you're a small company, there's always got to be somebody within your company who's going to take on the responsibility and say, yes, as part of this organization, we are going to be responsible for accessibility. And we use that person in order to carry leverage throughout the organization, meaning that that person who says, yes, accessibility is going to be important for us or is crucial for us, is going to carry the weight of decision making, is also likely going to provide the funding for whichever portion of the organization in which we operate, and is also going to provide that steady focus on what we're going to do with this program as it grows over time. So now we've got business case and we've got executive sponsor. From that, we can now move to policy, which is to say, how are we going to implement this accessibility piece? We're going to start with a general policy statement. A lot of different companies will start with something very simple to say, we will be compliant to accessibility guidelines, or we will follow technical standards such as WCAG level 2.1 AA. Whatever that technical standard is going to be, and how we're going to meet that with certain technologies, that's going to be part of your accessibility policy. So very simple. Our websites are going to comply with WCAG 2.1 level AA, that technical standard. That can be simple. You can go even more into depth if you choose to get down to the specific technologies, whether it's desktop or laptop or Android or iOS platforms in which you're going to provide that support. But that's going to be governed in your policy. That policy is also going to work internally for your staff and externally for the vendors who are creating content on your behalf, so that when you release content, you can always say that everything adheres to this particular policy and to the guidelines that were already set. So now we've got business case, executive sponsor, we've got policy. Our next thing that we have to have in place is a system in which we can repeat success. And that's where we come into governance. And in your governance, you're going to be setting up who is responsible for what in terms of accessibility. Now, accessibility is really something that is part of the company from concept to completion. At least that's what I tell my clients. So everybody is going to have a role, from the people who write the contracts to make sure that the accessibility policy is written into that contract and companies adhere to it, all the way to our designers and developers and our QA persons who are going to design for accessible content and inclusivity, developers who are going to create that content to make sure that it's perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust for all users, and your quality assurance people who are going to test to make sure that all of those standards are met. And so we include the roles and responsibilities, the roles in terms of what people are going to be involved and what they're going to do to make sure that, again, our policy, working backwards, is going to be followed, that was given by our executive sponsor, who said that accessibility was important because we had the business case, whether it was legal risk or financial opportunity, that made accessibility important. So now we've got 4 pieces: business case, executive sponsor, policy, and governance. Then let's go one step further. How do we absolutely continue this success? This is where we start to develop our practices. So what is it that we're going to do at the design level to make sure that things are accessible? Are we going to include an accessibility check on all final designs, for example? What is it that we're going to do at development? Are we going to be testing for things like screen readers? Are we going to use automated testing and manual testing, or will we use only one or the other? What will we do at the QA level? What will happen if we have something that isn't accessible and is about to launch? Will we launch it and then set a time frame to resolve it? Or will we keep that content from going public in order to make sure that it goes out in an accessible manner? Do we include accessibility as part of our definition of done? These are all questions that get into our practices so that in the end, we have our complete system which governs what we do from the very beginning of a concept all the way to completion to make sure that content is accessible. So let's review. This thing that's going to help your program or your accessibility program go from wherever you are, whether you are starting at ground zero and then trying to start a program, or whether you're starting a little higher and you're trying to mature that program into a more mature, accessible framework. You need these 5 things. You got your business case, you've got your executive sponsor, then you've got your policy, then your governance, and then finally your practices. And all of these things are going to help you become a much more accessible organization. All right, you got questions? Email me using the comments and the links that you find below. And otherwise, I'm Dr. Keith. See ya. Bye.